Hey guys, today we are going to talk about assignment two, and thank you guys for the understand and support. Uh, I because this week I'm not very comfortable, so I will upload video, and actually most students choose the option that upload video rather than reschedule it, so that's what I do. And there are only three questions for them too, so I think it would be easier for you guys to finish it within 1 or 2 days if you can watch the video. Okay, let's get started. Firstly, now you can look at your question one because I cannot open it on my iPad. Um, let's read it. Anna had the option to purchase a laptop from the US or Japan. And the laptop US price in the US. So for question one, she wants to buy a laptop and now buy it from the US or from Japan. But actually the price different. For the US, the dollars are the price of this laptop is $340, and in Japan, the laptop costs 78,000 yen. And now you know that for each the for if you want to exchange currency, 3.4 dollars are equivalent to 372.26 yen. Okay, now find what's the US nominal interest rate and find what's the real interest rate and assume that there's no shipping expenses should Anna buy the laptop from the US or Japan. Actually, there are three small questions. Firstly, what's the nominal exchange rate? And second, what's the real exchange rate? And where should it buy from? Okay. Firstly, remember that the nominal exchange rate is actually the exchange rate that banks tells you. For example, in this question, how can you know what the nominal exchange rate is from the bank? This is what the bank tells you. So the nominal exchange rate, if you have the US dollar, want to change it to Japanese yen, what can you have? Now suppose that you have 372.26 Japanese yen and want to change it to the US dollars. How much you can do it by using the bank system, okay? Because of this given information, and the answer for this question would be now you have 372.26 Japanese yen and want to change it to US dollars. So you just use these two values and you can get the exchange rate is 109.488. Okay. It means that if you have this much Japanese yen and you know they are equal, so you can get 109 something US dollars. And what's the real exchange rate? The real exchange rate is based on the item. It's not because of the US. Okay, now after exchanging the US dollars, you get 194.8 US dollars, right? And if you want to use this US dollars to buy this computer, it means that uh you can use this ratio to get the real exchange rate. It is because that this is the price of using US dollar to buy this laptop, right? And this is the Japanese yen that you use to buy the Japan buy the laptop from Japan. So now the real exchange rate would be 0.98. It would be less than 1. And assume that no shipping expenses. So what should you buy? If you buy this laptop from from Japan by using Japanese yen, you need to cost 38,000, right? But if you want to buy it from US, the you only need to use this value, and this value is less than 38,000, which means that as you can see, the real exchange rate is less than 1. It means that it would be cheaper if you buy this laptop in the US because the real exchange rate less than 1. So if in this kind of question, if you are pretty confused about it, you can use one currency. For example, when we calculate the nominal exchange rate, we assume that we have 378.72.26 Japanese yen and want to have it to change it to the US dollar, right? And after having this US dollar, what should you pay? How much should you pay about it? And for the real exchange rate, it is based on the item rather than based the bank. Okay. Okay, so this is question 1. For question 2, actually question 2 and question 3 are quite similar. So I just firstly I will give you the equation. Uh, which means that this means that the return of the US and the Europe is the same. And how can you know that? The US return is actually the deposit annual rate. Okay, annual return in the US. And this is the annual return. Actually, this is the annual return in the Europe, but if you want to consider the exchange rate, annual return, you need to add the expected exchange rate, subtract, this is within the bracket. Let's use another line. Expected exchange rate, subtract the current exchange rate, divided by the current exchange rate. Okay, so now let's use this equation in the following 2 questions. For question 2, suppose that the annual rate of return of dollar deposit equals 2%. Okay, now the left-hand side would be 2%, right? And the rate of the return on euro deposit is 1%. And furthermore, assume that the expected exchange rate in the year is $1.1 equals €1. It means that the expected exchange rate would be 1.1, right? And the current exchange rate is only 1.08. Okay. And now if you use this equation, this means that the interest parity holds. And if you want to determine which one is larger and which one is smaller, you can calculate it. This is 2%, and this one I can tell you the answer is 2.85%, right? So now, as you can see, if you can invest in the Europe, it would be better because the annual return would be higher. So you should invest in Europe. For question 3, it would be the same because just change the values and hold the interest parity. Okay, now the annual return of dollar deposit equals 3%, right? And the return of euro deposit is 1%. And now the current exchange rate is 0.9, right? That's the thing I want to ask you, that what's the expected exchange rate? Remember that the expected exchange rate, I just use it I. Subtract current 0.9 divided by I. This one should be equal, right? As you can see, the only thing that you don't know is I. I think you can solve this equation that the expected exchange rate would be 0.918. So this equation would be whole. This is the expected exchange rate. Okay, and that's it. So for all the 3 questions are about the exchange rate, and for the remaining 2 questions, the thing that you need to remember is that if the interest parity holds, this equation would hold. And if you want to calculate which one is larger, just use these 2, okay? Like question 2 did. And that's it for today. And the submission deadline of this assignment would be the end of this Friday. And hope you guys can submit it online. Thank you.